taking a break from Dune. Not because, I'm bored of it, but because it's part of my daily routine. Wake up, have some coffee, sugar free creamer, uh, you know, do my stuff that you do in the morning, then play Dune for a little bit, do a little bit of harvesting and whatnot, then hang out with the wife. That's important, hang out with the wife, sometimes annoy her, sometimes not, while she's doing her thing. Then after a little while, take a break from the Dune computer game to come in here and do a live stream or a video. I saw you log into Dune. I actually made a post, but you didn't respond from it. Did you not see my post? I mean, I thought it was cool, but you were like, nah, I'm not responding. Screw all that. And I was like, damn, man, that sucks. So yesterday I made a video showing off all of the different heroes / maybe not heroes that I'd gotten. Like, this guy's definitely not a hero. This is Homelander. Homelander's not a hero. But if I were going to run a superhero game and somebody wanted to play a character that kind of looked like Homelander but was a hero, you got to let that happen, right? And this guy is definitely not a hero either, but I had to have him. This is the Lord Humongous. Anyone who is a huge fan of the Road Warrior knows who the Lord Humongous is. He was the leader of the Raiders. Come on, are you going to focus in or what? Sent a group invite, but then got distracted by Spice. That is an acceptable excuse, my dear sir. I mean, if you're out there running around and you run into some Spice, I mean, it just is what it is. You gotta get that spice. That's just the way it is. Got to get that spice, because when you get higher level, pretty much everything you want and need requires melange. So, yeah. I am sitting here looking, though. I think one of the first not heroes I'm going to paint, even though, I guess kind of it's a hero, but not really a hero, is this guy right here, who, compared to other guys, I should have mounted him on a bigger base. I still might. Remember, these guys are Skell, so some of you might recognize this bastard, right? And he'll be easy to paint because pretty much all he wears is black. And his face is white, but with black. So, what's up, Crafting Gamer? How you doing, bro? So, I mean, it's Lobo. He wears black. He wears white. He carries metallic objects of destruction. That is kind of Lobo's thing. And if you don't know who Lobo is, he is the last Zarnian, which is his race. But that's a lie. There's a female Zarnian out there, I think, that survived. And the problem was the Zarnians were all born to be loving, good-natured, like really good people. And their civilization was a utopia. And in a weird fluke of nature, for some reason, Lobo, whatever his actual name was before he decided to just call himself Lobo, he was born with all the rage, anger, and hatred of his entire species, but concentrated into just him. So, of course, as his high school project, he created a plague to wipe out every Zarnian except him. And then after he succeeded in, genociding his own race, he decided it'd be cool to, kind of go out into the galaxy and be a hitman, go to war with Santa Claus because the Easter Bunny paid him a bunch of money to do it, which eventually led him to go to war with heaven and hell. And in the end, God was like, yeah, this guy can't come back. And the devil was the same. They're like, yeah, nah, this guy can't come back. And what that means for the layman who never read a lot of Lobo comics, which I did because my brother bought a lot of the Lobo comics, so I'd read them, is that Lobo, like some other superheroes, can't die because there's no place for him in the afterlife. Like heaven and hell have both said, this dude cannot come here. We do not want him. So that means he just basically kind of cruises around on a giant, like, motorcycle. Think like, an old school hardcore Harley type thing, but it can fly through space. And he pretty much flies around just doing whatever he wants to do and bounties. Because I don't know if it's an Arnian thing or just a Lobo thing. If he takes a bounty on something, like, someone, his senses are such that he will. Hungar wants to join. Okay. His senses are such that no matter where the target is in the galaxy, he will know.
What up, noob?
What up, homie? I hung out with our female ninja for a while last night.
Oh, Greg.
Yeah, they were over at the house, running around, looking at all the stuff, asking me why my house is so big. And I was just like, because I'm a builder, and my house will never be done. I think I've picked the perfect location, though. So I feel bad for everyone else on the server.
Yeah, you got a good location. I'm on the way to your house right now
Why?
to steal some stuff.
Okay. I don't like when people steal from me. It makes me angry.
Okay, I'm not stealing. I'm just borrowing with no intention to ever really pay it back.
Okay. I'm kind of better with that, depending on if I'm told what is being borrowed.
Just some duraluminum so I can make a spice harvester. Not harvester, spice.
Oh, a processor?
Yeah.
Well, you might be lucky because I think I got a few hundred of them. I may have a few hundred duraluminum.
Awesome.
And you can have them, and all I request is spice.
Oh, I've got 1,000 spice sand.
Okay, that's a good trade.
A little over.
It's a good trade. So I'm primering a couple of figures that I felt like I'll let the primer dry for a while and then give them some paint jobs. All of these figures are going to be very easy to paint. So, like, the hardest part about this guy is going to be his pants. But I'll hold him up and see if at least my brother can guess who he is.
That's from the Watchmen, Rorschach.
Yep, that's right. That's Rorschach.
What's up, George? What's up, TCG?
What's up, George? So the first figure I'm going to paint of all the figures I got that are superheroes from DC and Marvel, I went both. Hell, I went Black Horse even. The first figure I'm going to paint up though is definitely Lobo. Lobo gets the first paint. But then after that, I'm thinking I've got a hard test.
Lobo
Because,
should be easy. He's like black and white.
yeah, Lobo is very monochromatic. He's black and white with some metal here and there. Like the chains and stuff are metallic, but
Yeah.
otherwise, he's just, his hair's black, his jacket's black, his pants are black, his boots are black, except for the metal spiky parts. And his face is white, except you got to do this, like the Norwegian death metal black paint across his face. Yeah, see, Rorschach will be a little bit harder because he wears the purple and orange striped pants or whatever,
Yeah.
which is going to be a thing. So, yeah. But I mean, if I need to, I can always like alt tab out of the chat
And just
and
look
just
at it.
look up like, the superhero and be like, what does that superhero actually look like? I mean, I know Rorschach. He's got like a brown jacket, a brown fedora, his white mask with a random black splotchy Rorschach thing on it, and his weird pants. Sheriff Lobo, right? No, no, no. But I mean, pretty much about everything in my house that he ever wanted, I gave him. The only rule I ever put on him was he can't have my wife. But pretty much anything else, like in my game room and stuff, he absolutely can have. And he, boy, has taken advantage of that a few times.
Who's that?
You.
Yeah.
Like one time he came over with his van, and the back part of his van, I loaded the entire back part, however many cubic feet that is, with just role playing books that I no longer want to deal with anymore.
Yeah. What it really comes down to, guys, is I'm his garbage disposal.
In a way, yeah, in a way.
He's like, I'm tired of all this crap in my
Because
house.
over years, I will collect multiples of shit. And then my brother will be like, "Hey, I know some people who'd love to play this game." And I'm like, "All right."
He's like, get this crap out of my house before my wife kills me.
Yeah, it's like I don't give my brother books like normal human beings might give books. When I give my brother books, it's like by the pound and the square foot. And the numbers are impressive. You know what I mean? It's like I don't give him like 5 role-playing game books. I give him like 200 pounds of role-playing game books.
Yeah, he'd load up the back of my minivan.
And then, of course, since he's got very creative young daughters, well, not that young anymore. Jesus. I mean, that older one's about the age where she's looking for a husband and stuff, right?
Her and her boyfriend already lived together.
So it's like, wow, it happened pretty quick. But anyway, regardless of me talking smack, my family, including Haas and Haas's actual family, his nuclear family, everyone is a gamer. You know what I mean? Like I'm a gamer, my wife's a gamer, Haas is a gamer, his ex is a gamer, his kids are gamers, his ex's new guy is a gamer. I mean, it's like pretty much, yeah, we're all gamers. So, if I want to get rid of all my third edition shit and I find out that some of I still consider them in-laws, even though technically I guess they're not. But I don't care. His ex has been a really cool like person to him throughout everything. Considering he dumped her. I mean, if I were her, I'd have told him to pound freaking sand right up his colostomy bag and die. But For some reason, she, sat with him in the hospital and he's in a coma and takes care of him even now.
Because when you throw it down like that, they tend to love you.
I don't, I will take your word for that because I don't know anything about that. But the point is, so I still consider her very much family. You know what I mean? She earned her spot into her family by showing her loyalty when Hungar was at his worst. And she was like, she didn't need to show up. Wasn't her problem. You know what I mean? But she showed up. And that's what makes family, right? I mean, anybody can say they're family, right? But if you don't show up, then how are you family? If you guys get what I'm saying, like I can say, like I have a lot of relatives that I never see, and it's not because they live states away. That at least is excusable, right? They live like a mile away, and at a point, it's like, okay, I know this guy is related to me genetically, but I never see him.
Yeah, we have friends
So
that we
I
see more
end
than
up
we see
not
family.
liking him as much as some people I talk to on the freaking internet every other day.
Yeah, we have friends we see more than we see some of our family.
Yeah. So then, and then, people can get their little hearts upset about it. But I have a very simple rule, right? You make time for things that are important. And if you can't make time to drive half a mile to pop in and play a couple of board games and maybe drink some beer, I provide everything.
Or to even just make a phone call.
Or to just call somebody, or heaven forbid, answer a text, um, or keep your word when you say you'll definitely be there Sunday night to play a game and then never show up. It's like, yeah, if all of these things are beyond your ability, then I just don't need you. I'm sorry. And it's like, I don't want to sound like a dick, but it's like, how can you love somebody that you never see, you know? And if any of you couple guys watching, you got an answer for that. And I don't mean love like the biblical term where we love everyone, but I mean love like family love. It's like familial love. It's like, how can I have any familial love for someone I never see? I know nothing about. I don't know who they're dating, if they're married, nothing like that. The only thing I know is that they live half a mile away from my house. And I call them all the time and they never freaking return my calls.
And then
So,
you get the ones that live like 5-6 hours away that go out of their way to come visit.
oh yeah, and then I've got the guy who's a nuclear tech on a submarine and he's out to sea half the year, but the half of the year he's not out to sea, he's at the house hanging out, playing games.
Or the woman that lives off the grid who's got a baby, who's pregnant with another baby, who goes out of her way to drive 6 hours just to see somebody.
Who is a brother to one of them that I never see and lives literally down the street. Yes. I do have I don't know if she's a hippie or a Christian fundamentalist or a
She
far
likes,
right extremist. I'm
she
not
likes
sure.
guns too much to be a hippie, but she has a lot of hippie beliefs.
Yeah, she's like such a weird mix of philosophies that she cannot be described in any easy term. And yet, though she lives hours and hours away from me, in a homesteaded land where she has to worry about rattlesnakes and God knows what else, in a house that she and her husband are building with their own bare damn hands. And
Well,
yet
he works
she
full
makes
time.
more time in a year to come and see me than people who live a mile away. I mean, that's kind of hurtful if you think about it. Of course, I do love me some Jillian, so and her
Everybody.
little baby is adorable. So it's like, and I love little babies too. My one regret: I had two amazing daughters. Well, I think they're amazing. They do stuff, like everybody does, but I love them. And I wish I'd added like another two or three. Either daughters or sons would have been fine. I mean, I always did want a son, but I got a grandson. So, I mean, if you can't have a son, having a grandson is, pretty cool. A lot of these guys, since I'm putting the primer on, it's hard to see the details until the primer is completely dry. Like this guy right here, you probably can't tell who it is, but it's one of my favorite characters. Oh, it almost focused in for a second.
I can't tell.
Well, he's a Marvel character. I'll give you that hint.
There's a lot of Marvel
He's
characters.
really big. He's really strong, and he likes to kill with his claws.
Sabretooth?
That's Sabretooth. That's, yeah, the Sabretooth, like the new modern Sabretooth, where he just wears the long coat and he's like. Because, Sabretooth, even though he's a bad guy, if you were playing a game and you're like, you can have whatever powers you want, use whichever figure you want, right? I could totally see a good guy choosing Sabretooth to represent his good character. Just because he's a tall, kind of wild looking dude with a mustache and a beard and long hair, and he wears a jacket and he's got freaking claws and he's strong as hell, I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, there's just no reason. There's no reason not to pick that guy.
Yeah, I mean, he only really likes murder.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. If you're just using the figure and the let's use the Jungian term archetype, then you could make him a good guy, right?
Yeah.
And though you could have all the powers. Now, I need to reread Bear's heroic rules to see, like, if Sabretooth is something you could create in that game. And the original face rip system for Marvel, you can just download the PDF anywhere. I mean, it's basically a dead game. And apparently, even though Wizard Coast had the rights to the Marvel game, they let it out to a whole different company to make a Marvel game. So I'll have to look up and see, well, what are the reviews on this, from some people I trust. I mean, like, even though I suspect if I ever ran a superhero game, it would be a relatively low power superhero game. But low power still leaves a shit ton of options. I mean, in my opinion, Lobo's low power. In my opinion, Deadpool is a low power character because he can't die. Sure, he's got regeneration, but it's not like it's instantaneous or anything. And superpower wise, other than cancer and leukemia and all the other horrible diseases he suffers and the regeneration that allows him to continue to exist, what is his superpowers? He's a Green Beret. That's it. He's an ex Green Beret,
which is kind of super.
You could do the Watchmen universe using the Face Rip Marvel game. It's just that other than Dr. Manhattan, no one's really a superhero. While they might be human plus. And the only one other than you got Ozymandias. And that's because Ozymandias is so brilliant that he has altered his genetics and made himself like superhuman, or at least maximum human strength, speed, etc. To go
Yeah,
along with that super intelligence he always had, right?
yeah, because Night Owl's super ability is just money.
Yeah, Night Owl's super ability is he has a shit ton of money and he can build stuff. That's his super ability. So the thing people need to realize when you're looking at the Watchmen, they're all actual other DC characters that were made by Mike Miller and Mark Miller or whatever, because DC would not let him use their actual characters. I mean, they loved the storyline that he proposed to them, but they did not like the idea of Superman being in the role of Dr. Manhattan, because they thought that, hey, we've got Superman. He is a paragon. He is our, he is the gravy train for us. Everyone loves Superman. The comedian's power is not being an idiot, being human max, if not somewhat human plus, and being extremely good with firearms and hand-to-hand combat. That's it. So like in a D&D game, you would call the comedian almost a skill monkey or a fighter. I mean, that would be the deal. Like if you're playing a skill-based game like old school Marvel, the comedian would have like human max combat abilities
Yeah,
and be tough as shit, but only human max stuff. His other special ability is the whole time he was working for the government to watch the Watchmen, the comedian was the guy who was watching the Watchmen. I mean, the movie doesn't spell it out, but it kind of does, because of all the Watchmen, when Nixon passed a law saying no more superheroes, the only one that kept a job was the comedian.
and the comedian's job was to police the Watchmen.
And,
That's why
and
he,
overthrow communist dictators in South America.
that's why when he was in the original Watchmen, he was in the, but as soon as the newer Watchmen reformed with all new superheroes, he was the only old school superhero who was in the new Watchmen because
He was
it
watching the Watchmen.
was to make sure that they didn't do anything stupid. Him and Dr. Manhattan, of course.
Right. The problem with Dr. Manhattan, as the comedian proved in Vietnam,
He had no humanity.
is Dr. Manhattan was losing his grasp on his own humanity. And as the comedian said, God help us all, because
Uh,
Manhattan losing his community, his humanity, I mean, that shit was only going to go bad. There
yeah,
was no way for that to go good.
Rorschach was just Rorschach's super ability was insanity and toughness.
Yeah. Yeah. And you couldn't even say human max, because remember, Night Owl and Rorschach together tried to fight Ozymandias and got their asses whipped. Like Ozymandias straight up just slapped them around like they were little bitches. And, the fact that, of course, Dr. Manhattan reassembled himself. But I mean, Ozymandias, for being the smartest human on the planet, should have known. It's like, okay, you're going to disassemble Manhattan. What was the first thing Manhattan ever did? Reassemble himself. So it's like, come on, dude. What are you thinking?
The smartest human has no more trouble
Yeah,
to
the
me than the
smartest human is no more a threat to me than the smartest termite. I think is what he said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that is 100% true. That's why in the beginning of the movie and the comics, Comedian is sitting there feeling sorry for himself because he never got to spend much time with his daughter, Silk Spectre, and he always loved the older alcoholic Silk Spectre. So he's sitting there feeling away, and the door knocks open, and who is it? Ozymandias. And Ozymandias whips the comedian's ass like he's a high schooler. And you're talking about the comedian. This guy is like 6'7", 300 pounds. Even at 70 years old, this dude was built like a freaking linebacker, to quote the cop, and was trained pretty much to the height of a human's ability in like every form of combat. And Ozymandias smacked that bitch around, threw him around, just whatever, and then chucked him through supposedly bulletproof plate glass. Picked his ass up and just chucked him right through it. And one thing that they didn't touch on in the movie as much as they could have, when everything was going on, one of the few people that had always been kind of cool with Rorschach was the comedian. So for the comedian, when he found, for Rorschach, when he found that the comedian was dead and he found the pen, it was personal. Yeah. You know what I mean? It wasn't just someone's killing masks. It's like someone killed one of the few people who was ever decent to Rorschach. You know what I mean? I love that quote in the comic book, and it's in the movie too, where, Rorschach's like, this city is whatever, and he's like full of horrors and whatever. And one day, when the blood and the filth of their sin rises up and they're choking, they're going to look up at me and ask me to help, and I'm going to say no. It's like, plus Rorschach never liked Ozymandias because Rorschach was convinced Ozymandias was a homosexual. And Rorschach, whether people like it or not, it's just the way it was written. He was not into that shit at all. He considered it degeneracy. So, yeah, he was never buddies with Ozymandias. And he never trusted Ozymandias.
The prison scene was great. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me.
It's a shame that the guy who wrote that series of comic books literally hates everyone who liked his comic books. I mean, he has gone on the record so many times saying that adults that read comics are losers. And if he knew adults would have read The Watchmen, he wouldn't have written it. And it's like, what do you want? 10-year-olds reading this shit? It's a little rough for 10-year-olds, right?
That's a little rough for kids.
George, you're 100% right. And that's why I was saying that. It's like Rorschach and the comedian in their own ways were kind of similar. And of all of the Watchmen, I mean, Night Owl was Rorschach's friend, which makes sense since Night Owl plus Rorschach equals Batman. But even Night Owl turned his back on him, but Rorschach never turned his back on him. He was always kind of in the background, and Rorschach knew that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Rorschach was always watching, making sure that Night Owl was okay.
Yep. He stood on the street with nothing on, dressed like a homeless man. And since everyone always knew Rorschach for, the hat and the mask and shit, when he took the hat and the mask off, no one knew who the hell he was. So it was like, by removing his disguise, he become disguised. Now, my daughter, my beautiful youngest daughter, the one that is, hibernating a new life currently, she is a Rorschach fan. She actually, her and Hungar introduced me to that whole series of comics.
Yeah, I bought it when it came out.
Yeah, I still got it in a box. All of your old comics, I think.
Yeah.
There's like a bunch of Tick comics, like number 1 and number 2 and all that.
Yeah, 1 through 10 first print.
Yeah, 1 through 10 first print tick, and then there's all of the individual Watchmen comics that you had bought, which is pretty badass, actually, if you think about it. That's nice. My wife is having the sneezes in there, you guys. I don't know if you hear it, but yeah. So let this primer. Speaking of though, I don't know if you guys. I think you'll recognize him just because, you know.
He's blurry.
It's a little blurry. Yes, come on, focus. It doesn't help that shake. That's the comedian.
No, no. Rorschach was at the funeral, yes, in the front, at the gate. He was also standing on the sidewalk when Night Owl and Silk Spectre met up.
Walks by.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also in the background when they're fighting the gang members in the alley.
Yep. Rorschach was kind of everywhere all the time because he only allowed himself to sleep like 4 hours a night. And he allowed himself no comfort whatsoever. He lived a very Spartan life. They touch on that when Night Owl's like, "Do you want me to heat up your beans?" And Rorschach's like, "They're fine like this." But Rorschach was a complicated character because the guy who had been Kovac died when he had to deal with that child murderer. What's his name? Something Kovac ceased to exist. That guy was gone. And after that, it was just Rorschach. So, but what Miller did, which was brilliant, is since DC said he could not use any of their top of the line guys, right, for his story, is he took Batman and he split him in half, and then he took the Question and made Rorschach look like the Question. Except the Question's mask is always blank, and Rorschach's mask has the Rorschach thing on it. But if you ever look at the comic book hero, the Question and Rorschach, they are almost identical. They wear fedora, long hat, weird striped pants, and they do kind of the same shit, except Rorschach's crazy. So what Miller's thought was, take Batman, right, and split him. So on the one side, you have the multimillionaire technophile. That's actually, the Bruce Wayne thing, kind of. And then on the other side, you have the pure freaking insanity that is Batman on the inside, and make two different characters out of that. And then for Dr. Manhattan, he was like, well, that's Superman. Dr. Manhattan represents Das Übermensch, Superman, the Superman, right? But you couldn't have, I mean, can you imagine if they'd allowed Miller to use like Wonder Woman instead of Silk Spectre, or whatever, right? Marvel's worry was that it would stain those iconic characters forever. That no one would ever look at Superman the same again. They would only see the Superman that eventually lost all of his humanity and, ended up leaving the world.
But
Because
they allowed Red Sun.
super minor characters, I don't think they gave a shit about, like the hanging judge or whatever and all that. I don't think they cared about that. But I mean, because when you look at like DC characters, because these are DC characters, when you look at DC characters, you have the iconic DC characters that cannot be messed with. And then you have like a ton of DC characters that no one really gives a shit about.
Yeah, you got Batman, Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Aquaman.
Yeah, those are the big ones right there. Those are the ones you don't mess with. Yes, all of them were passed down for the most part, except for Rorschach and the Comedian.
And, of course, Dr. Manhattan.
I never count Dr. Manhattan Because, like I said that one night when we were talking about kind of, sort of, maybe what if we ever played a superhero game? Like right off the bat, I said there'll be no Dr. Manhattan. And your brother was like, why? I said, because every game would be the same. You know, the Manhattan player knows what's going to happen and decides it's not going to happen. And then we can all eat snacks and hang out on the back porch. Yeah, Hooded Justice, he was cool. You know, and the fact of the matter is, whether she wanted to admit or not, Silk Spectre had some issues. The original
Dollar Bill.
Dollar Bill, yeah. Silk Spectre had some issues. And when she was getting beat up and possibly SA'd, hey, how you doing, Mage's Musing? By the comedian, and then Hooded Justice come in and start whipping the comedian's ass, even though, note, the comedian didn't even try to resist. He just let him do it. Yeah, that all turned Silk Spectre on, like, big time. Which is why a week later she found the comedian and went and freaking slept with him. But then she turned into a bitch and wouldn't let him see his own daughter, which he really wanted to do. I mean, the comedian was a very human character. He really would have loved to have seen and interacted with his own daughter and all this and that. But the original Silk Spectre was, in my opinion, a bitch.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is, whether he tried to SA her or it was foreplay, because, like I said, Silk Spectre was weird herself. You know, she kind of got off on that violence herself. That's a fact. She didn't need to make it where the guy could never see his daughter.
What was the one chick who kissed the nurse after World War II? The one that got.
Oh, that was the. I forget her name, but then somebody killed them for being lesbians.
Yeah, murdered in a hotel.
Yeah, murdered in a hotel. I agree with you, Mage's Musing. The movie's not too bad, though. And the one thing I prefer in the movie over the comics is the, what's it called? Instead of a cosmic squid coming through a rift and tearing New York to shit, how he tried to blame, Silhouette, how he tried to blame, like, Manhattan. I think that was actually a pretty good twist. But I mean, if you disagree, you're fine. And I mean, just to bring you up to date with what we're talking about, since you just joined, I ordered like a bunch of DC and Marvel superheroes. So here's, of course, the primered Rorschach, because I had to get all the Watchmen. And George was asking me a lot of questions about the Watchmen, like how powerful are they actually? And Hungar and I were saying, other than Manhattan, Human Max, not even Human Plus. Like Captain America is Human Plus, but not like superhero Human Plus. He's just like, you know, Captain America, right? So Captain America and the comedian would probably be a good fight. And I don't know who would win. Maybe the comedian, maybe Captain America. You know, I mean, whatever, right? But these guys are not Shazam. They're not Superman. They're not even Lobo. Because again, you can't kill Lobo, and he is stronger than human. I mean, in one of the cartoons I watched, Lobo flat out punched Superman, and it knocked him like a block down the road through a building. So, yeah, Lobo can hit. However, Superman came back and just whipped his ass because, come on, Lobo, you ain't going to beat Superman. What you thinking? You know? I mean, you're the main man and all, and you got your pot of friendly dolphins that you like to hang out with, but you're not beating Superman. No one is beating Superman. I actually was talking about this, Hungar, and I'm going to tell you this. Remember when I said I thought Dr. Manhattan might be able to beat Superman? I changed my mind. I don't think he could. Because Manhattan's whole thing, like, okay, let's say Manhattan tried to remove the magnetism holding Superman's cells together at the atomic level, right? that shit probably wouldn't work on Superman. It might have worked on Rorschach and a couple 100,000 Vietnamese, but that shit ain't gonna work on Superman. You know what I mean? He's basically going to look at Dr. Manhattan, tell him to go get effed. Because the thing about Superman is he's actually like a cosmic being.
Yeah, but Dr. Manhattan could just make it where kryptonite appeared and encased his body.
Maybe, but maybe not. Because the only thing Superman's actually kind of weak to is magic, especially mind control magic, which Dr. Manhattan doesn't do.
But he is, and kryptonite.
Superman is basically immune to about every damn thing.
Yeah, he's not immune to kryptonite.
He's exactly Mage's musing. That is the thing with Superman. However powerful you think he is, he's actually way more powerful. He has any power he needs at any time. But he's Superman. I mean, he is the Cadillac of DC.
Yeah, he's not all right, man, or almost, or super cool, man. He's Superman.
Right. That's the thing. He is the hey, this is DC Comics, and here's our dude Superman. Superman is only exactly. Like when he started out, he literally couldn't fly. He could just leap tall buildings because of the gravity and shit. But then eventually he could fly, and then he had frost breath and cold or fire eyes, and could fly in orbit and could turn time backwards and like weird ass shit. And it's like whatever the story needs Superman to do, that's what Superman can do. So if you had Superman fight literally anyone, whatever he needs to defeat them, except for Bane, but that was bullshit. Or not Bane, what was his name? The guy broke Superman's back.
That was Batman's back.
No, the Bane broke Batman's back, but there was this big monster like from Darkseid or wherever that defeated Superman.
That's bullshit. I never heard of that.
Yeah, it really happened, and then everybody's like, "Oh my God, Superman is dead!" And there were all these comics about how Superman was dead, and then like a month later, it's like, "No, he ain't dead."
I just noticed our titles under our names.
Doomsday or something like that. He was called. He was like this big giant with like, what's that gemstone you just mentioned?
Kryptonite.
Yeah, like kryptonite was literally embedded in his body. Yeah, it was like Doomsday or something.
Hey, bro, look at our titles under our names and see how ironic that is. Because I didn't look at yours before.
I can't see your title.
Yours is Christian Fundamentalist and mine is Master of Chaos.
Well, sometimes you got to remind people that the first three letters of fundamentalism is fun.
Yeah. I didn't see your title before I put mine on. I just find that ironical.
So,
rain on your wedding day.
Is that ironic, though? That's not ironic. That's a coincidence.
Yeah, but I wanted to sing Isn't That Ironic by Alanis.
Oh, I'll be honest. I mean, while I'm not a fan of girl music, I mean, everybody likes, Jagged Little Pill. I mean,
yeah. That was a great album.
And the main song off of it, which may or may not been about, what's his name, Boulay or whatever. Oh, hey. Look at that. We're loading up on Canadians over here. What's up, Padre?
We have got the man, the myth, and the legend. Well, how's it going, Father Aaron? How's it going, Father Aaron?
Father Aaron? Don't you mess with me, Aaron. I do have a miniature here.
I send you up to Oshak Hennessy's office.
Oshak Hennessy's, yeah, instead of O'Shaughnessy. Oshak Hennessy. That shit was hilarious, man. That was really funny.
The Chinese are going overboard.
Okay, Ungar, you got to know who this is because I bought it because I recognize it, but I'm not sure who it is. But apparently it's a long-haired guy with a hockey stick and like a golf bag full of
Davy Jones.
golf clubs and various other things, and
Davy
he runs
Jones.
around, beats people's ass up at night.
Davy Jones from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay, I thought that was what that was, but I wasn't positive because
Casey Jones, not
superheroes.
Davy Jones. Casey Jones.
Casey Jones, so he just runs around beating people up with a hockey stick. I
The,
can dig it.
Bro, the Chinese are going overboard with their commercials on the internet now. Now there's this like cute little chubby Chinese girl, and somebody asks, "Are you really homophobic?" And she's like, "I don't know what that means." And then a guy whispers in her ear, she's like, Why would I be afraid of F?" And then it just cuts off.
Yeah, yeah. People in America think that they're just like us, and
They're not.
so this guy I'm going to show you is not a superhero. This guy is an Imperial Sardaukar with a cutting laser.
Oh, those guys are easy. They're not even good fighters.
If we were talking superheroes, they would be Human Max.
Yeah, but really? Then what does that make my character into? Like who? Superhuman Ubermax? Because I fought like 4 or 5 of the Sardaukars at a time and just spank them.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I have.
When?
When they come down off their spaceship.
They never did. What are you talking about? Oh, you mean in the Dune? Oh, well, your character's badass, and those are not Sardaukars.
And the Dune video game.
Yeah, those are not Sardaukar that come out of that stupid ship to harass you all the time.
Well, my characters.
Those are Chome mercenaries.
Well, those are Chome getting their butts kicked.
I know. I literally sometimes find the ship and stand in the spotlight.
Just to have them come down so you can take their stuff?
Just to have them come down so I can kill them and drain all their blood out so that I can turn it into water. It's like that is a free every night, once or twice, 9,000 milliliters of water. I'll take it, And sometimes they do drop shit I can use, stuff I can use. So, it's not all lost. I got this guy. I don't know why, honestly, but I did get him. He is from my favorite Marvel movie.
Is that the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy?
It is. This is Ronan the Accuser. I challenge you to a dance-off. Come on, man.
See how as soon as Padre shows up, like cutting out on the swearing and stuff, just because.
Yeah, everybody starts getting like.
Hey, Padre, how's Touchberry doing? A little pyromaniac.
Everybody's like, "Be good. God might be watching."
God's always watching. I saw this one as
but when there's a priest in the area, it's like
I saw this
will be paying attention
on Instagram, and there's a priest sitting there talking to this girl. They're drinking a beer. She's like, "You must be one of those cool priests." He's like, "I don't know. I'm just a priest." He's like, "Are you one of those cool humans?" She's like, "I'm a normal human, And he's like, "Oh, tell me how." She's like, "Well, I don't believe in God for one thing." And the next thing you know, a picture falls off of the wall and like scares her. And the priest looks up and grins. He's like, "I love it when he does that."
Well, I copied a meme. So, like the last time some Jehovah's Witnesses came to my house, and they're like, they're like, "We're here to talk about Jesus," and I just was like, "What do you want to know?" and they're looking at me like what? When the Mormons came to my house, I literally tried to convert them. I was like, "Hey, I know you like your Mormonism and shit, but have you considered Orthodoxy?
You're doing your part.
It's the actual original Christian religion. I mean,
I'm
founded by some crazy person in New York, And they were really, actually, the Mormons, God love them. It's like they're so wrong doctrinally, but they're so nice. Not that I think that'll save them, because again, I'm kind of a fundamentalist in my beliefs, but Nova Scotia, we're going to set up some games when they're back.
Padre, how was ClearCon?
Yeah,
Out of all the conventions, that's the one I'd
I
like.
heard nothing but good things about Claricon from my people on the inside.
That's the one I'd like to go to the most. ClearCon.
You know what's weird is, with my belief system and everything, not con, but just swing in to visit for me would be Venger. And
Well,
like a couple years ago, he and I were talking about something. I think I was trying to convert him. And he told me, is if I was ever up in like Wisconsin or wherever the hell it is he lives in the Midwest, let him know. He'd throw some barbecue on the grill. I could come over. We could play, some um, freaking sword and wizardry or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I would do that. I mean, I know that we couldn't be further apart, maybe philosophically, but every time I've ever dealt with Venger, he's always been kind of a stand-up guy. You know, I like him. Come up to Claricon, yeah. We need passports for that now, Mage's Musing, which sucks because back in the day when we used to go up to Windsor, you didn't need a passport. You just cross the bridge, and like the Mountie on the other side would be like, you got anything to declare, eh? And we'd be like, no, we're just up here to maybe hit a bar and eat some Tim Hortons and stuff, hang out.
it's a
He'd be like,
French fries and gravy.
yeah, he'd be like, okay, have a good time, eh? I mean, the typical Canadian thing, except he didn't say A. I added that, but you know, and then we would go and cover your ears, Padre. But at that time in Canada, the nudie bars were all like full nudie bars, and the age to drink or go into a nudie bar was 18 instead of 21. And then after you drink a bunch of real Canadian beer, not Molson's, but like actual, stuff that they drink, you could go to the donut shop and, you know, get all sugared up. And so Canada was like the place to go back then, like in the early 90s. It was like Disney World for kids, for young men. Dungeon Minister, I love your recaps. I wish I had your charisma to do my recaps even half as good as you do. And I'm also starting to really, really enjoy your shorts as well. Um, it's no wonder you become a priest, because you're very good at expressing ideas and getting them across. And No, I'm not envious, because envy would be, a passion, and I fight my passions. I'm not envious, but I am very respectful. I respect your game. Your style and everything is really, really good.
I've
I think
always
a lot of
said I'm
people
a
could
fan.
learn from it.
I'm always said I'm a fan of the Padre.
Yeah, well, me too. But I'm just saying he's doing a couple more shorts lately, and I've been enjoying them. I've been enjoying the hell out of them. When you're out and about, say you're in the doctor's office waiting to get called in, and you just go on your phone and check out some Dungeon Minister shorts, and yeah, it's really cool. I went through a weird phase of positivity where the maid at my hotel room last weekend, she was doing her thing, and I told her that, I was like, do you know what? You don't know, but I'm going to tell you. And she was like, what's that? And she was like, whether you know it or not, I told her, whether she knew it or not, every morning when she woke up and did her job, and every night when she got home, she may not know it, but she has changed the world permanently for the better. And she was like, she just looked at me like weird, you know? And I was like, you are cleaning these rooms and helping all these people and everything like that. And I said, and you think, you know, whatever, but I just want you to know I see you and I respect all the positivity that what you do brings into the world. And she was like a much older black lady, and she was just so like, she's super happy that I said that to her. Plus, we left her a good tip, but
It's like me when I go to the grocery store, I try to make all the people that I have to deal with at the counter and stuff like that just have a better day. I tell jokes and make them laugh, and when I leave, they're like, "That was a good experience." Because
yeah, because you know these people who think they're better than other people because of their job and stuff, and it's just like,
well, if I
I
can make
worked as a plumber, and let me tell you, I never thought about it at the time, but nowadays I realize that every day I went to work and dug 100 plus however yards of trench to put in sewer mains and shit, that was an incredibly positive and hopefully near permanent thing that I did, so that at the end of my days, I can at least say that I positively affected the world. You know, I made it better.
and if
My
I
existence in the world actually may have made it better.
and if I
You
can make somebody
weirdo.
laugh,
Mage is musing. You know I love you, man.
if I can make somebody laugh and have a better day, then my time is not wasted on the planet.
Yeah, I know. We both do that.
I'm actually kind of boring, Padre.
Hungar in real life is super laid back and tells a lot of dad jokes, like just out of the blue. That's kind of Hungar. You're hanging out, maybe having a drink, playing a role playing game. Well, in role playing games, he's generally Mr. Serious guy, like he's into his character and shit. But like when you're just hanging out with him, he's Mr. just chilling out. He does know a lot of dad jokes, like a lot of dad.
Because dad jokes, I'm a dad. It's my job to tell silly jokes.
And then me, I am super boring in real life. Like if I'm not actually running a game, which is where all of my personality comes out, I'm generally just being quiet, listening to music,
Play it on
yeah,
his computer.
playing on the computer, you know. Maybe painting figures, but I've started like that. The whole point of these streams now is because I'm painting figures.
I,
As a matter of fact, the everything's dry, so I'm getting ready to paint up this Lobo.
I love my picture on my.
That's a good one. There's a lot of good Nicolas Cage pictures out there.
Yeah, but Nicolas Cage, eyes wide open, Mona Lisa is the best.
It's a good one. And I am a huge fan of Nicolas Cage. As a
Yeah,
matter of fact, that's my handle on X, Nicolas Cage super fan.
and yeah, Padre, I'm. Everybody says I'm fun to be around, but normally, if I'm not hanging out with people, I hang out by myself 99% of the time.
That's true. I got to call him and be like, hey, I'm on duty,
Socialize.
dude. Get on. I'm over here all by myself. You're the one that said we should buy this game.
And you're glad we bought it.
I've got like 500 hours into it. So, you know, I'm like taking a break right now. The good news is you can kind of play it if you're in your house just doing crafting bullshit. You don't have to fully 100%, you know, pay attention.
Yeah, I just logged on to build
But
my
if you
site.
leave your house, you better be paying attention.
I
The
logged on
sun
to
will kill you. Like literally, the sun will just kill you.
make some spice and to start my thing.
Like we said at the beginning of this, bro, you owe me some spice.
Yeah. If I'm not with people, if you're not with people, you're my yeah. That's pretty much like with everyone. Like if I'm not out actively doing something, then
I think that's true of
I spend
everyone.
most of my time alone in my room watching TV and playing on my computer. I can go days without speaking to somebody and be perfectly fine because I think it has to do with me being a trucker for so long.
Yeah, maybe, probably.
But I've always been like that.
Whereas me, yeah, when I'm not online, I'm an astronaut in the ocean,
James is a social butterfly.
which is weird because I'm so introverted that if I'm around people for too long, it just gets so exhausting that I got to go like lay down somewhere quiet.
But he wants to be around people all the
But
time.
I want to be around people. It's just I'm very much an introvert.
And I'm more like the social butterfly who wants to be by himself all the time.
Yeah. But I mean, at the wedding I recently attended, my young naval officer nephew got married to an amazing wife. And of course, it was a very selective bunch of people who were invited, which meant I got to go. And not only did I get to go, but where the all of the where the guests sat, my chair had my name on it, and my wife's name right next. You know what I'm saying? So that nobody, and we were right up front. So, and boy, did he look amazing in that snappy, like snow white Navy officer uniform with the cap and the submarine on it, because he's a submariner and they get to wear like a big pin of a submarine. And
Say what you will, Navy got a slick uniform.
I was jealous, man, because when I was in the Army, our uniform sucked. But then the other guy that was there, the father of the bride, did 25 years in as a cybersecurity guy. So he was like a chief warrant officer four, which is incredibly rare. Like you never see a chief warrant officer. And he was wearing the Army officer dress blues with like the baby blue pants with the red piping and all that shit. And
Those are
his
not,
chest was just nothing but. See, I like to brag about how many ribbons I had because of combat and everything. But this dude made me look like I'd never even been in the military. I mean, he had freaking just just and he also had 55 jumps. He had British air wing or jump wings. So at some point, I don't know if he'd been to Britain or not, but at some point he went through the British jump school and got their wings. And he had Jordanian wings, which those are a bit more common because American airborne troops and Jordan airborne troops do a lot of training together. And if you go through all that training, you get the Jordanian jump wings.
North Korean general levels of medals.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny, Dungeon Minister. You say that, but yeah, yeah. It was like dude. But then, and it's funny because the first night we met, somebody's like, "Oh yeah, Eric was in the army too," and I walked over and I'm like, "Hey, bro, what's up?" He didn't know me from anyone, but I'm like, "I am your soon-to-be son-in-law's uncle, and I was in the military too." And he's like, "Oh yeah, what do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I was Army infantry." And he's like, "Cool, I was a mechanic." And I'm like, "Cool, man." And and we bullshitted around. And I have to admit, this is a sin. Deep down in my head, I was thinking, "Well, I'm way cooler than that guy." You know what I mean? Because he told me he was a mechanic and
If you're not infantry, you're
your support, right? So
yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, I'm way cooler than this guy, but whatever. I mean, I'm not going to treat him away. I'm just, way cooler than he is. And we hung out and partied and talked shit, whatever. And then, like the next day, he comes rolling in that freaking uniform, and I'm like, and I look at the shoulder plates, which were red with the 4 black dots across them, and I'm like, freaking chest full of freaking salad. Just, that's what we call it. Yeah, the chest full of salad. Yeah, it looked like a North Korean general. It's just like, and I'm just sitting here, and I walked up to him and I said, bro, yesterday you said you were a mechanic. And he's like, yeah, well, I don't like to talk about what I actually did, which it turned out had something to do with like crypto intelligence security shit. So, I mean, apparently he must have been a super genius, obviously, right? If, his job was jumping out of airplanes and stopping cybercrime or whatever.
Yeah, but you guys still got along, so that's good.
Oh, yeah. He was always like, call me Eric. And I was like, okay, well, you know my name. I told everybody, my name is James, but my friends call me this. And they for the most part called me by my friend name. And then what was crazy is all the maids of honor called me uncle, which I thought was really cool. And then I did a random act of kindness, which I think the dungeon master would appreciate this. I was standing there and I noticed there was this guy, young, handsome, tall, and he was by himself and he looked very uncomfortable. So I walked over to him and I'm like, hey, my name is James. How are you? And he's like, hey, my name is, I don't even remember now. And I'm like, are you okay, man? You look kind of sad and stuff. I mean, you need to talk or anything?
Have a good one.
Grindstone. All right, Dungeon Minister. And I started talking to him. And it ended up that he was a newlywed and his wife was the matron of honor. And he didn't know a single person at the wedding. No one. So he just didn't know where to stand. He didn't know who to talk to. Like he didn't know anything. And he was really nervous and and he'd only been married for like a couple of months, which was funny because I like, yeah, I've been married to my wife for like 25 years. So he's like, what's the secret? And I'm like, well, when you think you're right, you're not. And when you think she's wrong, she's not. And if you want to argue about something in particular, I said, bro, the most important thing is pick your fights. Like, don't argue over taking the garbage out. It's not worth it. If you're going to fight with your wife, you got to pick your fights, right? And he was laughing. By the time I was done with him, he was laughing. And then when it got to the maids of honor, what I had done, they were all like, oh, they're like, what a nice guy, blah, blah, blah. And I just told him, I was like, I just could not be the guy to stand there and ignore this person. And him standing there just looking like a fish out of water like this, right? It's just not in my nature. But to be fair, the minister's gone. To be fair, Mage's Musing, I've been working really hard at getting control of my passions and trying to be a much more optimistic, good person. And I don't mean saying I'm good. I mean actually being good, which, let me tell you, is really hard. It's so much easier to be a jerk. It really is.
I've been going balls to the wall, chaos.
So, yeah. So and I think part of it is like, well, one, I've been seeing a therapist that kicks ass. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I see a therapist.
Not me. I bottle up all mine so they can explode all at once.
I did. And then what happened?
Yeah, it exploded.
So anyway, yeah, it exploded. Not good for anybody. And then, so I'm seeing a really good therapist, and she's really helped me out. And plus, my priest is awesome. And when I talk to him online and stuff, right? Because he's a truck driver during the week. And yeah. Well, I've gotten to where if somebody is away towards me, I just, you know, to quote Fleetwood Mac, they can go their own way.
See, I got my possum to keep me warm.
Exactly. So I'm not even going to argue with them. I'm just going to be like, well, you can go your own way. Go your own way.
A boy can't be happy unless he got him possum.
See, I could never own a possum because they die too soon.
Yeah. Well, so do I, but
That's funny, but not,
I had to get a pet that wouldn't outlive me.
dude. I don't even know what I'm going to do without you when you're gone.
You're
Yeah,
gonna carry on, my wayward son.
yeah. I'm going to hang out with my wife, and then, like you said, it'll be carry on my wayward son.
Like I told you, if you die before me, I'm going to hire the gayest dude on the planet to just cry uncontrollably at your wedding, like he just lost his whole reason for, or at your funeral because he lost his whole reason for living.
That would be hilarious.
Like he's going to be there and it's like pink, like
Yeah, you got to make sure it's like the most flamboyantly gay dude ever.
the it's like
I
super.
appreciate that. Some people are like away, but it turns out that a lot of the trouble I got into, including jail time and stuff like that, between a certain traumatic period and now, I could have avoided if I just sat down with a little Puerto Rican lady and talked shit out. But I was too proud and too manly. You know that deal, the pushing it down that Carl Jung talks about, like your shadow. And yeah, my shadow was very powerful. And it led to negativity and anger, actually not even anger, rage.
And I've never been full of rage.
Like a hairpin trigger where I could just go off and commit acts of violence for no reason. And so yeah, I should have that sign I've seen on Amazon that says this veteran is medicated for your safety.
Yeah.
I should have that sign.
I, on the other hand, have always been just like super laid back and chill.
Yeah. So do you think next Sunday you might have it in you to show up to the Doom game?
Yeah, this coming Sunday, totes. Probably be in Kentucky, but that's fine.
Okay, because I mean, I can keep playing your character the way your character would act. It's not hard. I mean, you're the commander of the house troops and everything. So, and for your between game activity, you know how like in Conan you had between mission things. In this game, you do too. I decided your character is spending all of his time training the troops, which will allow them to go from like level 1 to level 2 troops.
That's hilarious, Coco.
Yeah, he's Starvarian. He won't cry, so I cry for him. One of the oh my god, that movie. And there are people out there that are like, that's not Conan though. And I'm like, dude, I don't even care. I am a Conan fan. I own the trade paperbacks of every Conan, Savage Sword of Conan comic ever made.
And you
I
have
own every R.E. Howard book ever written about Conan. And I love that movie. And I don't care what anybody says. I stand by it.
is the best sidekick in the history of sidekicks.
Superdai is the best sidekick. Like that dude ran from Zamora south through the desert to hell, I don't even know. I guess Stygia, wherever they were, to pull his buddy off a tree, and then with the help of a priest slash wizard slash whatever the hell Mako was, try to get him brought back to life. and then go along with him to raid, the Temple of Set. I mean, yeah, that dude was he was like a real deal friend, the kind of friend we all deserve and wish we had if we don't.
Well,
You know,
Conan did save his life. The best line though was, "I've not eaten for days." He's like, "And who says you will?"
and who says you will? Yeah, give me food. Let me die not of hunger, but in battle. See, few men in their entire lives will ever know that kind of like friendship. I am lucky to say that for a very short period of time, I did.
What are you talking about? I'm still alive. I know who you're talking about, but
You
just
don't count because you're my brother.
well, he was our brother too.
He may as well have been. Yeah, the barbarian holds up. And then, of course, here's what's crazy is people talk about how Conan the Destroyer sucked, but it followed a lot of the story way better than the barbarian did. Like, a lot of the stuff that happened in Conan the Destroyer was in books. It kind of, so it's like the wizard that turned into an ape or whatever and wore that red cloak around and all that kind of shit, you know. And of course, Double D, he's always talking about how Conan the Destroyer is way more of a D&D movie than Conan the Barbarian, which, look, man, he's my bro. He's welcome to his opinion. I'm not saying I agree, but yeah, basically I disagree. The most D&D movie ever made is obviously The 13th Warrior.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. You know, punk ass poet gets kicked out of his own place because, a married man gets jealous, gets sent into the wilderness to hang out with barbarians, gets picked by a witch to travel to a place and talk to a king, and then go on to fight monsters that live in caves. That is like the most D&D shit ever. And I mean, if you watch the movie, you can even see when Ibn, I'll just call him Ibn, like the other Norsemen did. You can actually see when he's leveling up.
yeah.
It's like you can see when he meets him and he's like a first level warrior. And then by the end, it's like he's a higher level warrior, man. He's out here whipping ass and doing shit. Whereas he was such a pansy for most of the movie. And then all of a sudden, the experience he gained from all the shit, he leveled up and then he was like, all right,
Let's
let's
rock
do this
this.
thing. I mean, so I don't, when people talk about D&D movies, I'm always like 13th Warrior, man. That is the most D&D movie.
That's such a good film.
I mean, you've got an adventuring party, you've got an evil witch or shaman or whatever, you've got monsters that live underground and eat people.
You got
I
the dude
mean,
hero.
you've got your heroes, and you've got like a crazy witch that you got to go see. You've got the king who is relatively good, but the prince who's kind of a dick. Uh, you know, and the whole time it's just about Ibn learning. And like I said, going up in level. Like another great example of how Ibn went up in level and gained XP would be the duel between Sven and Roth, the big redhead. How uh, he didn't know what was going to happen. And then he finds out that the old man could have killed that dude at any time, but it was all a ploy, to make him wonder. Like, you know, anyone can calculate what they know, but how do you calculate what you don't know?
Exactly.
And you can even see it on his face, when he's like, ah. And in my opinion, as a DM, that's like, ding, you went up a level. You know what I mean? You figured it out, buddy. You went up a level. Grats. Okay, so we've got the black and some of the metal done. Don't forget this chain running across the front of him. Because, Lobo, if Lobo is known for anything, it's like chains. I don't know what it is. Dude likes chains. Like he wears them as belts. He, wraps one around his wrist, attached to a freaking meat hook. I mean, so, and I got to do his knee pads because the top of Lobo's boots are made out of metal and they look like skulls. And then I'm going to have to do a bluish white for his skin because Lobo's skin is white, but it's got kind of a cool blue tinge to it. So when I go to do his flesh, I'm going to have to add just the tiniest drop of blue in there. But here's where we are right now with the Lobo. See, he's got his chains and meat hooks. Now, obviously, I'm going to take some black gray or black brown, really dark, and go over that leather jacket so that you can see detail. And another thing before I forget is on his one shoulder, he's got like a shoulder pad thing with a lot of spikes on it. So let me hit them up real quick. Yeah, there it is. So you can see on the gun arm how he's kind of got, but otherwise,
Sorry
and I'll
about
have
that.
to do his hair. Probably the hair will be easy because it'll be dry brush with like 99% black, 1% blue. Just to give it that blue black highlight. Oh, there goes my brother. And there is my brother. Funny thing about Lobo is he was created as a satire of comics, and then he become popular. So
I had to go on Amazon Video and buy 13th Warrior so I could watch it.
yeah. I mean, Coco. I'm not saying Destroyer isn't a D&D movie, and in a lot of ways, it follows R.E. Howard's books closer too. But the 13th Warrior, I think, is the superior D&D movie. And it has all the things you mentioned pretty much. I mean, you've got the poet, bard, whatever the hell Ibn is. And then you've got, the warriors and scalds and the ranger that's always hiding in a tree with his bow. And they talk to a witch in the woods. And, there's a lot going on there,
Well, brother, I'm going to bounce out.
And then they're, of course, fighting the Vindo, which in the book never rode the horses, didn't have horses because that's stupid.
Yeah,
And in reality, we're just a tribe of either Neanderthal or Denisovian people.
Can you hear me?
Survived. I heard you. You got to take off.
Love you.
I love you too, my brother. So they were just kind of, there wasn't anything special about them other than they were, Denisovians or Neanderthal, something like that had survived, which is why they kept having that this figure, the figure of the Vindo, the goddess of the Vindo. And the reason is all the way from North Africa, all the way up through Palestine, Israel. I called it the Roman name, Palestina, but all the way up into Turkey and Europe and everything. Everywhere they found these, it was because Neanderthal lived there. This was the Neanderthals' God, not ours. We did not make this, or if we did, it was after we stole it from Neanderthal. Yeah, that's exactly it. They were either Neanderthals or Denisovians, some primitive human, and they were cannibals and they lived in caves and they did not have horses because that's stupid. And, you know, the rest of it was pretty dead on, though. I mean, it was pretty good. And, you know, it was a good story, I liked it. It was what was his name? He's more famous for directing movies, or Wright Crichton or whatever wrote that. It's called Eaters of the Dead. Yeah, I think it's a lot. He's the guy who wrote that book's a lot more famous for his movie work, like scripts or directing or whatever. But um, and I think the whole horse thing was so they could have that one scene where they all stand there with the big logs and do the Braveheart thing. I think whoever was directing that movie wanted the Braveheart thing. And I personally think that was not a good choice. They could have done without the, hold now, and then raise the pikes up. I mean, yeah, okay, it looked good in Braveheart, but in that movie, was it needed? No, it wasn't. It wasn't necessary. There was no reason for it, but they put it in anyway. Yeah, yeah. Okay, is Michael Crichton the guy that did like In the Mouth of Madness and all those movies that came out? Like it was In the Mouth of Madness, and then it was, I forget the name of the one where there's like the weird green stuff in like a giant jar in a church, and it turns out that the weird green stuff is like somehow, according to physics, the actual essence of evil. It's pretty wild, pretty wild stuff. Um, my wife is not a huge fan of those movies. That's Carpenter. Okay. Yeah, she's not a huge fan of those movies, but me personally, I love them. In the Mouth of Madness, Prince of Darkness, another one. I don't know if it's John Carpenter or not, but like Event Horizon. I love Event Horizon. Even though I know I'm looking at like a crappy cut of the movie and it can never be made any better because, you know, yeah, yeah, I love that too. Do you read Sutter Kane? What? And the guys, when he looks at them, they all have like octopi eyes. It's like wait, what? So pretty crazy. I mean, one thing about In the Mouth of Madness that got me thinking a little bit is that the main character in the Mouth of Madness has to deal with the same bullshit that Deadpool deals with, like on the daily. Once he realizes that he is in a book, right? Well, figure Deadpool of comic book and movie fame. One of the negatives of Deadpool is he knows for a fact he's a comic book character. That's why he can break the fourth wall all the time, because he knows he's a comic book character, even if no one else does. And that causes, you know, issues, let's say. Jurassic Park. Uh, I'll be honest with you, Coco Beware. I only ever watched Jurassic Park 1. Now, Mage's Musing, everything you mentioned, I watched. Yeah, those were all awesome. And of the three, I have to say, and I know this is basic bitch stuff to say, but The Thing, you know, I mean, to this day, people debate the ending of The Thing. Like when the two guys are sitting there freezing to death, drinking the whiskey, and you're just like, is one of them the thing, or are both of them the thing? Or, I mean, what's going on here, you know? Somebody wrote a book actually about the thing, and they depicted the thing as the good guy. Like it traveled from world to world, unifying whatever species it encountered on that world into like this gigantic utopian whatever. And in the book, I guess, like the alien cannot understand why the humans are fighting so hard not to be made whole with it. And so it's kind of funny, you know, like you got the thing being like, I'm here to help. I'm here to get rid of war and sickness and illness and everything. You all be one gigantic, beautiful society where everyone will love everyone and there'll be no any bad things that you can imagine. It'll all be handled, you know, because you know, and yeah. So yeah, in that book, the thing is like, what the hell is wrong with these people? You know, it's like, why are they fighting so hard to prevent, you know, whatever, you know? It's like, now, of course, I don't think it's canon or anything, but it's hilarious to think that the thing was actually a force for good and was trying to help humanity the whole time. And we're just like running amok. And it's also very believable, you know, that if some alien life form landed and it literally wanted to cure every one of our diseases and make us like perfect, you know, whatever, uh, chances are we would go immediately to war over that shit. You know, we'd be like, no, get out here. We don't like you and we don't want any of your whatever it is. Take that shit on. We're humanity. Which sometimes when I lay down to sleep, guys, I've been watching these like AI sci fi stories. And in the ones I've been watching, humanity is like the space orcs, you know? It's like,
Hey,
hey, Let, I actually watched the one you posted to me, Let, where like the humans, every time they said, hold my beverage,
holding my
it
beer.
broke reality somehow.
At least to the
Yeah, it
aliens.
wasn't just hold my beer. It was hold my
Yeah,
beer, hold my
yeah.
green tea, hold my free. And so the aliens were like trying to like figure out a way to
Replicate it.
outlaw beverages.
No, they tried to replicate it at first and couldn't do it. It like did the inverse, and it's like, why?
Yeah, it talks about that starship, that super ultra high tech engine broke, and no one could figure out how to fix it. And then like this Tex-Mex guy is like, hold my whatever coffee.
Yeah,
Let me
hold my
have a look at
coffee.
this shit, and he just started kicking it and like doing weird shit. And the next thing you know, the engine was working at 130%
And
efficiency.
he's just like, oh yeah, it was just like my friend's car. It's like,
And the aliens are losing their minds because they're like, this is impossible. This should not happen.
uh,
But the humans somehow, you know, so it become like a thing in the alien civilization. Like anytime a human said, hold my anything, they had like a warning system
yeah,
set up to let everyone know something really weird was getting ready to happen. That was a good one. Another one that was a good one is when the humans show up and there's like a whole alien fleet and there's the human ship and it's all like ragtag looking and whatever. And the alien fleet tries to boss the humans around and they end up getting into a battle and the humans just annihilate them. And the aliens are just like, what in the, And so then they're all like, they're all like weird about humanity. Or there's a lot of them where it turns out that Earth is a class 3, which is like the highest class death world. And it is against probability that sentient, sapient life ever should have evolved on it. Also, that our world is, of all the worlds in the galactic whatever, we're the only world with our level of gravity where intelligence evolved. So, like, the aliens are basically terrified of humanity because, like, one unit of human soldiers just eat them up. You know,
Hey,
what I
James.
mean?
Remember how you were talking about Jurassic Park?
Yeah, I've only seen the first one.
That's fair. Did you know that they had a cartoon of it?
I've never seen the cartoon.
I've only seen one scene from the cartoon, and it was a velociraptor. And they're like, "You may get us, but you'll never get off the island." The guy in the white suit said that.
Yeah.
And then the velociraptor goes, "Actually, we're building a bridge to Cuba where I will take the name Sir Pilkington and work as a barista or something." I'm like, why did the velociraptor choose my last name?
And they're building a bridge to Cuba?
Yeah. There's some place. I can't remember exactly where, but, it's just weird because I just
The
remember that.
first
And I'm
one's
like,
the only one worth seeing. I kind of thought that too. And I am a Chris Pratt fan. So you would think I'd want to see the Christopher Pratt one, but I didn't. Instead I watched like old movies, because I've got the streaming services, so it's like watch a new sci-fi movie that came out or watch Event Horizon for the 100th time. And for some reason, something in my brain keeps clicking Event Horizon.
Carson, stop that.
So yeah. In these AI stories, it is that way. Like aliens are like, whatever you do not mess with the Earth people. They are whatever. And like there's one where they start a war and then the humans start, come back and just start eliminating them, like all of them. And like the aliens don't understand it and they're trying to talk to the humans and they're like, but this isn't how war is fought. And the humans are like, this is how we fight war, when you kill billions of our innocents for no reason. And the aliens are like, well, I guess we're screwed then. But in the end, the humans are nice and let the last planet survive. So, they don't quite completely genocide them. Actually, it's not even genocide because the humans always warn every planet like hours before they're going to be there, or days. So anyone who stays on the planet to fight is considered a combatant. And the humans have no mercy for the enemy combatants. They're just, there to get tore apart, according to the humans. So, yep. Got my flesh color out, but not painting human flesh. I am painting some gigantic mutant moles.
Hey, Carson, say hi, James. Come on, say hi, James.
Carson, that's a good name.
Say hi, James. Say hi, Uncle Timmy. Can you say
He's
hi,
shy.
Uncle Timmy?
Yeah, sometimes that's just, like yesterday, I was
My bad.
playing the Dune game. So I found the Dune sci-fi series on YouTube and watched the whole thing, kind of in the background though. Some people don't like the sci-fi movie, but I actually thought it wasn't bad, you know. Uh, for the budget and everything, it wasn't bad. And at least Channy was good in that one, and she loved Paul, and she wasn't a big pain in the ass, you know. Like there's a scene where Paul calls out all the Fremen, and he tells them all, "There's not a single one of you here who could stand against me in one-on-one combat, not even Stilgar." And for some reason, Zendaya stands up and makes a move like she wants to go fight Paul. And it's like, bitch, that's supposed to be the man you love more than anything else. What are you doing? All right, man. Take it easy, my Canadian friend. At least until your American friends. I should do what Nexnor does and say, "Greetings, Americans and future Americans." And or "Greetings, lady and gentlemen." Because, according to my analytics, I have like 3 women that watch the show. And those 3 women who watch the show, I appreciate it and love it. And thank you very much. You are way ahead of you're way ahead of the curve, dear ladies. And Canadians, when I say future Americans, I'm joking. Don't get mad. I'm just joking. These
Although
is
some of
jokes.
them might.
These is jokes I'm telling. If it does come about, I will be as surprised as you guys.
I heard that 3 of the provinces are already trying to join.
Man, if that happens, no one will be able to deny that this is the most significant administration ever.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, it got rid of so many taxes on stupid shit and then absorbed half of Canada. That is some significant shit right there. That's some crazy stuff we're talking about.
I guess you could say Trump technically could do what our founders couldn't.
Well, our founders could have conquered Canada. They just didn't really have the heart to do it. I mean, it's like,
well, they tried, and they're like, well, the
we
Canadians
went up
really
there, we
don't
took
want
over
to.
a town, and they basically ignored us. So we just went home. We're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're like, well, the
screw it.
Canadians just don't really want it. Let's just leave.
Yeah, it's like, whatever. But then later, they burnt the White House to the ground. So, which was cool because we just built a cooler White House. So it's like, hey, I mean, and bad because the English unit that decided to engage in New Orleans just got decimated. And that's sad. Except, do you know why I know that story, right?
Why?
Because the infantry unit I was in, the regiment, I was in the 3rd Battalion of the 7th Infantry Regiment, and our nickname was Cotton Bellers. And do you know why the nickname was Cotton Bellers?
I can't remember, but you did talk about it before.
Because at the Battle of New Orleans, where the troops under Old Hickory, completely crushed the British, it was the 7th Infantry Regiment.
Meh.
And after the battle, because they had stacked big ass bundles of cotton up to hide behind, they were called Cotton Bellers.
There's a pretty famous song about that battle.
Yeah, by Johnny Horton.
Yep.
Oh, believe me, I had to know that song too. I mean, when you join a unit in the military, especially I think combat units might be different. If that unit has like any kind of weird history or anything, yeah, you're going to learn it. It's going to be a thing, Now, one thing they don't talk too much about is that period between like 1860 and 1864. Mainly because the 7th Infantry fought for the Confederacy. So it's like, so on our HQ headquarters, when you walk in, they'd have all the pictures of generals that had been in the 7th Infantry and were really famous. And you'd see like all these old school guys, you know, like from before the Civil War. And then when you got to the Civil War era, all the pictures were dudes wearing gray uniforms. And it was like, and then after the Civil War, it went back to, you know, the standard Union blue. And it was just like, yeah, well, you know, we were there doing our thing. But I mean, whatever. It was a thing, you know. But yeah, that's why my sergeant major gave me his credit card and sent me to the PX to buy paint and brushes and stuff. Because he had heard through the grapevine, which means some of my bros in my unit ratted me out, that I was good at painting. And we had one of those projectors set up like they use in school. And it had a map of like Saudi Arabia and Iraq and the whole region, right? And my job was to write down all the borders, paint in all the borders and all the towns and everything like that. Paint the whole thing, like paint that map on a giant wall, right? Like a big ass wall. And then paint in like where we started in a red arrow line. And then if there was a battle there, you know, a squiggly line. And like, then I'd have to write in with like a paint pen, you know, what happened there. And, you know, and that's what the sergeant major demanded be done. And I did it so that the officers could all sit in that room and have that big freaking mural sitting there so that they could all stare at it. And my only hope is that it's still there, because 3-7 is not there. You know what I mean? Because what they do is they move units around. So at Fort Stewart at that time, 3-7 infantry and 2-7 infantry were together, right? And I don't know where 1-7 infantry was. So if you put all the battalions together, you get the regiment, right? But then I found out later that 3-7 infantry had been moved to Germany or put under the command of like a whole different like division. So instead of being under the 24th Infantry Division, it was under like the 3rd Infantry Division or some shit. So my wonder is, did they just paint over my mural?
It might have.
Yeah, I mean, no one can know unless I were to go there, walk onto the thing, and as a civilian demand to see the conference room, which I could do. And I bet you the guy on duty would let me do it. Like if I walked in there and said I was a member of the unit that was here, you know, 35 years ago, and I want to see your conference room, I bet you'd let me, you know, because why not? You know, I'm just some civilian. I just want to see something that's not like, you know, top secret or anything. And if I walked in and the mural was still there, I'd be like, I'd tell the guy, look right down here. And when he looked way down there, he'd see Private J. McKee. And I'd be like, that's me. And if it's not there, I'd just be sad. I'd be like, sad because, you know, a lot of work went into that mural, you know? A lot of work. But see what I'm painting up right this second, which is super easy, which is why I decided to paint them up, is these weird hairless mutated moles, right? Because they can be used for many, many games. This could be an alien creature in Dune and Traveler. It could be a mutant in freaking Gamma World or Ashes Without Number. I mean, any kind of game you want to play. It could be used in D&D as just a giant hairless freaking mole, right? And once that flesh colored paint dries, I'll just hit them with like some flesh wash. And then other than doing maybe spikes and teeth, they're done, That's a really easy paint job to get done. You know what I mean? And it feels good to get things done. Up, we're getting close to 2 hours.
Ooh.
Where is my titanium paint? And then I have to do the flesh on Lobo and do a wash. And once I do his flesh, he'll pretty much be done. But his flesh is just really white with a blue tinge. Um, so maybe I'll use Templar white and just put a little bitty drop of blue in there, just the tiniest drop, just to give it kind of a tinge, and then paint his flesh. Since I mean it's already like super white, so you know. But right now that's not important since I'm looking for my white paint, my titanium white. Actually, it's my favorite white. I didn't know titanium was white, but apparently it is. All right. I'm going to need to buy some more titanium white, it looks like. But I need the titanium white because I've got to lightly dry brush all my Saudicar because I put a wash on them and now I need to bring them back up to closer to a white. Even though honestly, they sometimes wear black uniforms, so I totally could have just painted these bad boys black. And on occasion, they've even been known to wear red. So, you know. But I decided to paint them like they were in the movie. Just so people would be like, oh, yeah, solid car, you know? So. See, that's pretty good. Greg Gutfield saying the Democratic Party, in order to raise their popularity, they're going to change their name to Sydney Sweeney's boobs. I mean, you know, it worked for American Eagle jeans. So it's so weird that people are upset by that. That was just normal back in the 80s, you know.
It was kind of normal back in the 90s.
Yeah, it's like if you wanted to sell something, you got like some super hot person or someone had done something amazing, like, you know, Dale Earnhardt or something, you know. He's not super hot, but he won a lot of races, right?
Yeah, he won a lot of races.
And that would be the guy you would have trying to sell whatever it is you're trying to sell. You know, you'd be that, you know, my name is Dale Earnhardt and I only use so-and-so brake pads, you know, or I'm Cindy Crawford, supermodel, and I like to drink Pepsi. And here I am in a bikini drinking Pepsi. You know, hi, I'm Kathy Ireland, supermodel, and I like Budweiser. So here I am in a bikini with a bunch of Budweiser. Hey, baby.
I was being sneaky.
It didn't work.
You know, James, Bud Light put a pretty good sobriety test on their can one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tranny, if when they put it on there, if they started looking slightly attractive, you know you've had way too many.
You had way too much. Time to stop drinking.
Yep.
That's funny. Yeah, like they say, if you're in Asia and you see a hot chick, but she's taller than 5'4", it's a dude. I got a question. Have you ever watched Holy Divers stream?
Nope.
He's got like this Asian supermodel on there. And the question has to be who is more attractive, Sydney Sweeney or a Taco Chan? I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Like, who is more attractive, Sydney Sweeney or the big boobied Korean chick from Five Hearts Under One Roof?
That Korean chick to me, I guess. I like her.
Dong or whatever her name was.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that worked at the company.
Yep.
Yeah, and I would expect that from you because you're kind of a weeb. But that's okay. You know who else was a weeb?
Oh.
The guy who wrote Dune.
Mm.
He was absolutely infatuated with like Japanese culture and everything.
You gotta see it in at least one of the movies. It looked pretty Japanesey in some
Yeah.
points.
Like he was infatuated with Japanese culture. He, yeah, it's pretty wild. And the Fremen, who were these Zen Sunni people that ran away from Earth, because of their religion. Their religion is a blend of Buddhism and Sunni Islam, and that put them on the bad boy list because at that time Earth was recovering from the Butlerian Jihad and had recently written the Orange Catholic Bible, which combined all forms of Christianity and Islam together and had a bunch of things like thou shalt not build a machine with the soul of a man or something like that. And there was a period where the Zen Sunni and basically anyone who wasn't a member of the Orange Catholic Church was being like ran out. One thing that's funny is one of the first worlds that the Fremen traveled to was Seleucid Secundus, the world where the Sardaukar came from. But when the Zen Sunni had been there, it was paradise. So something happened in the course of the 10,000 years that it took them to migrate across the empire to Arrakis. And one of the reasons the Fremen are so like intent on turning Arrakis into like this beautiful green world is in the super distant 10,000 years ago or whatever past, when the original Zen Sunni had landed on Arrakis, it was a green world with flowing water. But then at some point, no one knows exactly when and how, sand trout were introduced into the environment. And sand trout like to capture water and then take it deep, deep under the earth. So, I mean, if you remove all the surface water from a planet, it becomes Arrakis. You know what I mean? And the Zen Sunni that had lived there, they had to figure out and adapt to the new life. You know what I mean? A life on a world where it never rains. And Shai Halud wanders around just randomly eating shit. And that's how they slowly became the Fremen. And then, of course, you already know when the sand trout go deep under the earth, they will sometimes congregate. And it's because they're like reproducing. And the fluid, poop basically, and gases they release form the pre-spice mass deep under the earth. And when the pressure builds up enough, as it will, because, you're talking about some very volatile chemicals, it will explode like a freaking nuke, basically. Like if you get caught in the blast radius of a spice blast, you will be dead. It'll just, you're dead, right? Um, and then some of the sand trout that are thrown to the surface will start bonding to each other, and they will form baby worms.
Oh boy.
What?
Our uh, our half orc fighter is talking about this potion he has.
Oh, in your Dragon Slayer game?
Apparently, it's the giant potion of giant. I guess giant strength or something like that.
That's a good potion.
It's the one that makes you bigger. So he's wondering if
Oh,
that would.
potion of growth,
Yeah.
of giant growth or enlargement.
Yeah. He's wondering if that would make his armor grow bigger, or he'd be a
I
giant naked.
think the potion makes the person and everything he is wearing larger.
Okay.
And I think that it can also add to your strength depending on, how much larger you get.
Hmm.
I think. But then again, I have Dragon Slayer, but haven't read it, religiously.
Nope. I don't know much about its variations of magic items.
Right, the same. Because I do know because of talking to people that some magic items either don't exist or do exist that don't exist in OSE. Like OSC simplified the spell list to the point that when I ran my group through the Lost Tombs of Sajkan, they were finding scrolls that had spells on them that were not in any of the books, which I just said they were ancient magic, that thousands of years ago, mages knew a lot more magic than they do now. But when the big war happened, the reign of colorless fire and the invoked destruction, that destroyed the great empires, um, mages lost a lot of the magic they used to know. And the players bought it. They're like, that sounds reasonable, right? Whatever.
Yeah. If anything, I kind of like the RuneQuest style of magic items. Although
Well,
it's kind
you're
of
always like talking about the RuneQuest style of everything.
yeah, it's fun though. I mean, weapons are so customizable when you can just attach a few like abilities to them.
Yeah.
It's also not like it's not like it's also very interesting because it's sometimes really hard to enchant. So it's not like you could just easily anybody could enchant these things.
See, in since I'm running Dune, I will counter with in Dune, you can acquire through various ways higher quality weapons. And these higher quality weapons have a direct effect on the difficulty to do things. So if you spend a lot of time and you acquire, say, some kind of special dagger or kimjaw,
Hmm.
and it's like quality 4, then it like literally adds 4 to your chance to. I mean, it makes it way more likely when you go to stab somebody with that bitch that's going to work.
Also, another good thing, I now do have a magical dagger, a
That
plus
is a
one
good
dagger.
thing.
Party members gave it to me because I guess they wanted me to have some weapon that can deal damage to certain creatures.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Also, they had to get it from one of the NPCs, and the NPC they gave it to, that they wanted it back from, had it and was like, "Yeah, here, please take it. We got this off of like a dead necromancer. It gives me creeps."
well, that makes sense. Superstitious NPC.
Uh,
But yeah, in Dune, between games, players get to pick like a between game thing they want to do. And then they have to spend points, right?
yeah.
If they have them. And so one of the things they can do is spend points to increase the quality of one of their personal assets. And that could be like a personal shield, that could be some kind of sword, that could be, any
Also,
personal asset. So a
since I
gun,
now have money, I also went and bought myself a new sword because I had only a dagger.
right.
I,
So that's how Dune kind of handles the idea of like magic weapons.
I'm a thief. I don't have to use daggers. I can use a short sword.
As a matter of fact, quality level affects a lot of stuff because Hungar has spent his in between game time trying to raise the quality level of the house troops. Because right now their quality level is 1, which is conscript. But he has raised the quality level to 2, which is regulars. I mean, still not great when you consider Sardaukar 4. And again, those numbers matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a unit of quality 4 troops is going to whip the shit out of a unit of quality 2 troops. And in this role playing game, you can actually get involved in like battles where there's like 1,000 guys on a side, right? And the way it's handled is by comparing die rolls that can be made by commanders and stuff, but that's modified by the quality of the troops and their equipment. So obviously Sardaukar are the big dogs because they have all the highest quality equipment and they are the highest quality fighters, even compared to the Fremen, who are only a 3. And the Atreides are a 3. I think the Harkonnen are 3 for their raiders. So yeah, the Sardaukar are 1 level better than any fighting force in the universe.
I'm definitely gonna need to probably find some magical items for the boulder.
The boulder needs a big hammer. That's what he needs.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. That would be one thing I would kind of need, but more importantly, I think I might need the boots of speed
Mm.
because being a dwarf and only having like a 20 move speed kind of hurts.
Yeah, and in OSC, your movement speed is also affected by your armor. So if you're playing a gnome or a dwarf wearing plate mail, forget about it.
Yeah.
All I know about Dune is watching the movie. Well, there's so many movies though. And Iron Maiden, well, up the irons, but cool. Hey, Unscripted and Unchained and others. What's up, homie? How you doing, bro? I was actually watching your show the other day.
Yeah.
I was up in Georgia laying in a hotel room or I would have joined. So
There's no armor at least, but yeah, it really makes it hard.
we are having 2 conversations currently. Leth is telling me about his Dragon Slayer character and how he needs magic items.
Yep,
And
it
I'm
would
telling
make
him about how that compares to the Dune role-playing game by Modiphius, since that's what I've been running for like the last month.
And it also wouldn't hurt if I got like the bracers of defense.
Which in Dune means, as a player character, if you do not start with it, you would spend points and your in-between game actions to try and lay hands on personal shield.
I might see if there's like rumors or something. Check rumors of maybe people who might have these items or something.
Right. Yeah. In Dune, it's like that too. You make a roll and you spend some points. And if you're lucky, you might find a merchant that's willing to sell you a personal shield. But it's probably going to be a quality 1 personal shield. Bloodworth, there is a link if you want to join. No worries if you're busy. I know you're a busy man, but there's a link. And so the thing with the shield in this game is like the movies. It's the slow blade goes through the shield. So the shield, if it's got enough power to it, you can basically watch darts bounce off that thing. Because darts are the primary thing, not bullets, darts. And most of the weapons in Dune, I think, are either powered by magnetic, like railguns, or compressed air. And they fire these. I don't know. It depends on the weapon. It's either between a 7 and a whatever millimeter dart. You've had Dune. I had it. I got it when it was in Kickstarter, but it was like a week ago. I took the actual shrink wrap off of it, and then I bought the starter set, which is pretty good because I mean, even though I don't plan on my player characters being part of House Ray Jack or whatever the hell it is, I will use all of those characters as NPCs. And then the adventures that are in there, I will throw at my players. So it all works out. Um, it's actually a super easy game. It's like Conan. You pick the two things that are closest to what task is being done, and then freaking they roll 2 die 20 or more if they want. And for every success, which is under the target number, that's a success. But if the die is under, if they have a talent that specifically affects the thing, and a die is under that skill number, then it's 2 successes. And that actually can matter. Like if you've got a character and he's trained in dueling, then and his battle skill is like 8, then that means every time he rolls a die 20 and gets an 8 or less during a duel, it's 2 successes. And dueling is a whole thing because you got to keep track of like your opponent's assets, where they are, left, right, center, and then what you're doing. So a duel between 2 players, especially if they're wearing shields, can be like playing a game of chess. You know what I mean? Because both players are trying to, you know, get around the opponent's shield. Whereas guns, if you're wearing shields, for the most part, you're like, whatever, against a gun. Unless, I've told you about this, it's a drill gun. Those are no fun. Because drill guns fire self-propelled darts. And when that dart hits your shield, instead of deflecting off, it sticks. And the propellant that's pushing it pushes it slowly through the shield. So if you're wearing a shield and somebody unloads on you with a freaking drill gun, you can be in a lot of trouble really quick because you're getting ready to, I mean, literally just get shot. In the first movie, Duncan, Idaho is shown getting shot in the head by a drill gun. The bullet hits the shield and you see it stop, and then it pow and blows his brains out. That's in the 86 Dune. In the role-playing game, which Hungar and I are playing, the computer game, yeah, you can get dart guns, and boy, man, I hate fighting against people with dart guns because one of my most powerful assets in that computer game is the fact that I have a very high tier power supply and shield. So if somebody's got like an assault rifle or something like that, I'm like, whatever, you know. I can pretty much ignore them because every hit they get does reduce the power, but I have so much power, you know, that's like whatever. But if they got freaking drill shots, then it's all of a sudden it's like, uh-oh, get behind some terrain, try to lure them close. When they get close, jump out and stab them in the face with a sword. Of course, I only say that because I am in the game of Sword Master. So, cool. Cool. Yeah. I like it, but then again, me and most of the people at my table, I'm talking about the RPG right now, um, are Dune fans. And then the people who aren't Dune fans are kind of fans of all of the intrigue and the role playing and the character interaction with NPCs and stuff. So it kind of feels that scratches that itch for both types of players. You know, the heavy RPers can do the heavy RP, because there's a lot of political stuff. It's Dune. And then the Dune fans, obviously, they're loving it because it's Dune. And then the one guy who's kind of in between, he's loving it because he's a Mentat assassin. So whenever somebody needs killed, he's the one they call. And then he gets to plot out a whole scheme to kill somebody. If you've ever played Conan Exiles or whatever it's called, which I love and own, it's like that times 10 because the world is way bigger, way, way bigger. But not only is the world way bigger, but it's deadlier. Because unlike Conan, where you got to watch out for hyenas and crocodiles and cannibals and whatnot, in Dune, the world itself wants you dead. If you stand around in the sunlight too long, you will get heat stroke and die. Like one of the most important starting things to do is figure out how to get water. I'll give you a hint. There are certain plants that you can drink the dew off of. But, they're not just everywhere. So it's not like you can just be like, I can go wherever I want. And whenever things get in trouble, I'll just drink the dew off of the flower. No. Now, the good thing is you get to build a house and you can equip your house with like power generators and dew collectors and just all kinds of things like that. So you can get to where your character is kind of comfortable, but you're never really comfortable. Because, you're living on a world where everything sucks, and there's a war going on between the Atreides and the Harkonnen, and you can get drug into that. And also, if you travel off the rocks, you could summon a sandworm, and if it catches you, it destroys you and everything you had in your inventory. And if you were in a vehicle, the vehicle, and those things do not respawn, nor can they ever be recovered. They're just gone. So instant back to start for you. There's even idiots I've seen on my server, which is like Sea Chalish, that were building houses in areas where worms sometimes would run. And of course,
House is probably get destroyed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you build too close to the open sand, a Shai Halud will come and he will tear down anything he can reach. Now, what was hilarious, and this affected my...
I think I gotta go. I'll see ya.
This affected my brother, not Hungar, but my other one I play with. There was a bug, and the worm started, for some reason, he was like trying to get spice, and he's flying over it with his thopter. And somehow a bug happened, and the worm literally leapt out of the desert, flew through the air, and ate his thopter and dove back into the desert. And it wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. And it was like that worm was flying around eating people's thopters. Luckily, I was not around because I love my thopter. I call it my little choppy. And it looks like a little dragonfly. And I fly it around just, looking for stuff, right? Like if I see a big spice blow happen, I'll run over there and try and grab some. But if I run over there and another guild's already over there harvesting it up and I don't know them, I'll just, go away. Because out in the deep desert, it's PvP. And I'm not willing to get murdered over some blue sand. You know what I mean? I'll just wait and try and sneak some later. Now, a lot of guilds, though, a lot of the big guilds that go out with harvesters and carry-alls and stuff, they're actually pretty cool if you're cool with them. Like, as long as you show them respect, then they'll ignore you if you're on the other side of the spice blow, scooping spice up. They'll kind of ignore you and let you do whatever because, because they're going to end up with thousands upon thousands of spice anyway, right? More than they can carry. So why would they give a shit about a single guy over there with a sand compactor grabbing maybe 1,000 spice? But if you're a dick, as soon as you land your chopper and get out of it, I mean, they might just kill you. That could be a thing. So there is an argument in game for not being an asshole to people. Because if that's the life you choose, you can end up paying for it big time. So I try not to. I'm all like, I try to be a good guy. I need to paint. I need to look actually online to see what color, because I don't know what color Colossus's boots and vest thingy and underwear should be. I mean, I know he's metallic. I know that he's still colored, but I don't know, what color that should be. So I'll have to look that up. But yeah, I guess it's a typical Funcom game, but I'm not the right person to talk to about it because I like Funcom games. Like I played Conan when it was a full-blown MMO. I played a ranger. Condor's Invitation. First off, he never sent to me. It's like I guess he made a video with the thoughts that I watch his videos, which I don't, and I saw a video of him on Double D's channel where all he was doing was like raging, he was like cursing nonstop and blaming everyone else for like his popularity or lack thereof. And like it was like the ravings of a madman, right? And that put me off a lot, because it's like, I mean, if he wanted to ask me questions and stuff, that's one thing. But I'm not going to go on a channel and watch some freaking Labradorian Canadian like lose his mind over shit. It's like he wants to interview me. Why? Like, is it because I said I was the greatest DM of all time? And so he took offense at that and feels like he's got to interview me. I was like, I don't know, and like I said, the one video he did that I saw on Double D's show, he was so angry and he was just cussing and carrying on and blaming everybody for all of his problems and shit. And I'm just like, I don't know if I need that kind of negativity in my life, I mean, as an Orthodox Christian, I have been doing everything I can to try to control my passions. I know I F up. Yes, I posted a sexy picture of Sydney Sweeney. Probably shouldn't have, but whatever. So yeah, I've been trying to be real positive, and I don't know if he'd be conducive to that. And I know some people might be like, oh, it sounds like DM James is just going chicken out. and I'm okay if you think that's why. But the reality is, it's not about chickening out at all. It's just, why go on to somebody's show if you're going to end up quitting 5 minutes in because they're acting like a lunatic? You know what I mean? I mean, I've already got enough shit going on in my life. I mean, I have hundreds of minis to paint. You know, I've got shit to do that, you know, I might actually enjoy doing. So why would I ever in a million years agree to doing something that I'm not going to like with a person that has made it infinitely clear that they really, really don't like me? And I don't even talk to the guy. I don't talk to him. I don't talk about him, you know, except, you know, as far as, you know, I know he got mad at me when I mentioned his divorce and said I was lying. And I was like, but you're the one who mentioned it, dude. I didn't mention it. I didn't talk about it. You did. And that's kind of one of his problems is he will say something, and then if you repeat the thing he said, he'll accuse you of being a liar. So it's like, yeah. Yeah. So that's my main issue is like, I've seen his latest videos and there is no positivity. There's nothing even related to gaming in most of them. It's just him ranting about shit. And it's like, nah, I don't want to be any part of that. You know? And even if I'm a hypocrite and I sometimes go into rant mode, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Because that's me being a hypocrite. Call me out on it. Say I'm a bad person, whatever. But nah. Now, if Garby were to ask, I would 100% accept. 100%. Me and Garby have been on the same channel before, talking to each other, and I've never had a problem with Garby. You know what I mean? He might try to slide a sly little insult in every now and then somewhere, but you know, I just laugh at him. You know, laugh it off, haha. You know, but Condor, man, his last video seemed unhinged, and I'm just like, as a person who is, you know, has a lot of personal experience with unhingedness, I can tell you, I was not a fan of any of that, you know. So yeah. So that is my long drawn out answer. It's just like, you know, not worth it in my opinion because I don't know what Condor I'm going to get. I mean, you know, is he going to try to make me prove I'm the greatest DM ever? It's like, that would suck because I don't care what he thinks about it, you know. I just like to say it because I don't know, maybe I'm arrogant or something. Plus, you know, people who play at my table would agree. Right. Which is why I can go from OSR to Doom in the space of 1 week and have the players loving Doom. Bear, of course, shows up right as I'm logging off. Good job, Bear. I wish you'd been here earlier. We were having, actually, we weren't really having any interesting conversations. I was just talking about painting all these X-Men figures. Well, and this guy too. I need to put a wash on him, but we all know who that is. Of course, it's when he's still got, you know, underwear on. He's not walking around with a big schlong. Yeah, I got to get out here too. See, Bear, that's what I'm saying. I got to get out here, bro. You showed up right as. Some of us have day jobs. I know, and I'm going to have to start streaming later. But you know, I've been on 2.5 hours, and I've been doing my thing, and